A single attack has just put the entire water supply of the Middle East at risk. This is pushing the region and maybe the whole world to the very edge of a catastrophic war. 90%. That's how much of the drinking water in the Gulf comes from desalination plants. And in a terrifying escalation, Iran has just attacked one of these critical facilities in Kuwait. You have to understand, without them, this arid region, well, it quickly becomes unlivable. So this isn't just another military strike, it's a threat to the survival of millions. Now, an attack on a water plant like this, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's actually the latest shot in a really brutal tit-for-tat conflict that is spiraling out of control with terrifying speed. This cycle really ignited when the U.S. targeted civilian infrastructure. A strike on a suspension bridge, one connecting the city of Karaj to Iran's capital, Tehran, killed 8 people and injured nearly 100. For many Iranians, this was an attack on daily life itself. And if there was any doubt about U.S. intentions, President Trump himself erased them. On his Truth Social platform, he made it crystal clear this was just the beginning, threatening to systematically dismantle the very infrastructure that keeps Iran running. Well, Iran's response was swift, and it was fiery. A drone attack targeted the massive Mina al-Ahmadi oil refinery in Kuwait. It's one of the largest in the Middle East, setting multiple parts of the facility ablaze. The message was unmistakable. If our infrastructure is a target, then so is yours. And this conflict is spreading like wildfire, way beyond just the US and Iran. You've got Israel striking Hezbollah in Lebanon, you have Houthi rebels in Yemen launching missiles at Israeli targets, the UAE and Saudi Arabia are scrambling their air defenses, air raid sirens are now a daily reality across the entire region. This whole regional firestorm is now threatening a vital artery of the global economy. I'm talking about the Strait of Hormuz. This is the choke point where a huge portion of the world's oil flows through. And believe me, what happens here affects every single one of us. The immediate human cost is just staggering. Right now, over 20,000 seafarers are trapped on roughly 2,000 ships just anchored in the Gulf, completely unable to move. They are, for all intents and purposes, prisoners of this conflict, caught right in the crossfire. And they are facing a life-or-death reality every single day. There have already been 21 confirmed attacks on commercial ships, and 10 crew members have already died. The survivors are dealing with dwindling food and water, crippling fatigue, and the constant fear of being the next target. This isn't just a crisis for them, it's a direct threat to the global supply chain. And you know what? Those supply chain disruptions are already starting to hit home. They're creating shockwaves that are being felt thousands of miles away from the battlefield. Take Pakistan, for example. It's a country that's highly dependent on imported oil. The government there just raised petrol prices by 43%. Overnight. Can you imagine the cost to fill up your car nearly doubling in a single day? That's the economic reality of this war for millions. The humanitarian cost is absolutely exploding. In Lebanon, the United Nations is now reporting that 1.1 million people have been forced from their homes by Israeli strikes targeting Hezbollah. That is a massive refugee crisis unfolding in real time. Meanwhile, inside Iran itself, the population has been plunged into a kind of digital darkness. For 35 straight days, the internet has been almost completely shut down. We're talking connectivity at just 1% of normal levels. The Iranian people are cut off from the world and from each other. And as this crisis gets deeper, the international response is starting to fracture. French President Macron is out there publicly criticizing President Trump's approach, calling it not serious. The UK is deploying its own air defense systems to Kuwait to protect its interests. And at the UN, a key vote on a resolution to secure the Strait of Hormuz, it's been pulled from the schedule without any explanation. That is a clear sign of diplomatic paralysis. So why does all this matter to you? Well, beyond the price at the pump, there's a much more direct cost. This is the bill being handed directly to the American taxpayer. Let's talk about this number for a second. In just the first 6 days of the conflict, the Pentagon reported to lawmakers that the cost to the U.S. had already hit $11.3 billion. That is nearly $2 billion a day. And that massive initial cost, it doesn't just stop. This is where a concept called the daily burn rate comes in. It's basically the amount of money spent every single day just to keep U.S. forces in the fight. And that number, according to experts, currently stands at an estimated $385 million every single day. Another $385 million is added to the bill. That's money that isn't being spent on roads or healthcare or schools here at home. Which leads us to the final and most crucial question. With the human and financial costs escalating daily, with diplomacy failing and the conflict spreading, what is the right path forward for the United States? What should the next move be?